Anyone. Written from December 27th, 2024 through January 24th, 2025. Wow, already a year. One of the first things I ever wrote was an argument against capital punishment. I was 12. Quote, "There was just a special about a man sentenced to death. The man had a past, and while robbing a man, elderly, his partner shot the victim. For 17 years he was saved from death by a team of desperate attorneys. During these years, taxpayers were paying for him to be alive, and not by choice either. One lady said, 'We're paying for him to live, so just get rid of him.' Whatever. If I knew her, I couldn't stay her friend. If she was his mother, she would feel differently, because she'd know him. She pays for her children to live, and she knows them, but how can she judge a man when she doesn't know him, or the victims, or the family? And the families of the victims have anger in their hearts, so they blame him for another's crime. This anger can kill. People just hurt someone else because they're hurting. That, to me, is worse than murder." End quote. Alone of this opinion in the House, it illustrates an inherent ideological set of priorities, which I maintain to date: compassion over retribution, understanding over flash judgment, resource sharing over parsimony. Sometimes they can be difficult to live up to, but surely not unreachably utopian. It looks so good on paper. If life were less complicated, virtue could be so reduced, but all possibilities in space are occupied. Sometimes ignoring a gut feeling, trying to be more compassionate or understanding, has dire consequences. Sometimes people share to feel entitlements. Sometimes logic, ethics, and spite come to more or less the same conclusions, though they might not fraternize or admit it. Some people don't wish harm on anyone, no matter how well they do or do not know them. But those are only some people, and everyone. Each ideology has limits. 1 month after my 15th birthday, regarding crime some 7-8 years prior, I wrote to the court in part, quote, "You don't want to live anymore, but you have to, because that would be letting him win even more than he already has. It would be letting yourself become even more of a victim than you already are, and that hurts too, to be strong. I couldn't let him. I needed to hurt him. I've hurt too long and hated too long, and I don't want to anymore. I've had enough sickness and despair." End quote. The day after my 19th birthday, I advocated against the convicted party's incarceration. Not that they had bothered to try it until he had 3 drug violations on his probation. I just knew that prison wasn't helping. If he had been tortured into becoming what he was, torture was going to be an ineffective cure, besides it being unconscionable. I thought love was the answer. I had compassion for him. I believed because I had been tortured and not become what he became. I wanted to understand. I asked questions. I learned. Love was the source of the question, not the conclusion. Nothing excused it. Nothing explained it. This was something he wanted. That was what I was failing to understand. It was not an accident, a misunderstanding, or an ungovernable compulsion. He was not parasitized by some thetan. He wanted something that I did not want. His priorities were different than mine. Which, I can only hope everyone agrees, is an important natural part of maturation, eventually true of everyone. Huzzah the myriad discoveries therein. What glorious inspiration are we to one another. What is that idiom? The way you judge someone says everything about you and nothing about them? It makes me think of how sometimes outrage is the correct response, and all the people not outraging are having an illogical, unethical, pacified, incorrect response. How an oppressor will try to convince you of karma, that all the characters in your dreams are your reflections, that you live in a dream, a simulation, that nothing matters, that life is an illusion, that you are your own oppressor. How, when you judge someone favorably, you are passing a judgment. Hallelujah, our sensory powers, true gifts. May we listen to them. Learn. May they never be punishments. There is real love in this world, this beautiful, deadly world, but that is not all there is. There is the indifference of the cosmic womb and earth, mother, to human desires or opinions regarding equity, balance, and justice. There is the stark reality that not every need can be met, and that many desires shouldn't be. I know that evil exists, not as a religious concept, because I have seen firsthand the panoply of unnatural masks, the confidence man, lover, sadist, murderer, warden, the elitism of human indifference to suffering. I have felt the heart-insulating poison of it flatten my own gaze, shrink vision down to a pinpoint. Villainy belongs neither to violence nor banality. People of a particular genetic makeup or history, it is in all capable of conscience. It is a choice to cultivate desire in the wrong place, to prioritize the wrong things. I know there is such a thing, because there is a right. Vanilla orchids do not thrive in Death Valley. Bison do not roam the Amazonian jungle. The mighty octopi do not hunt along the columnar spines of the Rocky Mountains' coniferous canopies. We each have our place, our way, inside the boundaries of our species. Flexible, evolving, we can do all kinds of things. But if we become the creatures who allowed all the blue whales, who sing the oceans to life, to be tormented into extinction, instead of making sure that doesn't happen, then we forfeit the privilege of living in this world. As with the bees, the seas, so do we go. It is irrational to structurally incentivize psychopathy. It is unconscionable for those with the capacity for compassion to allow that virtue to be used to prevent understanding. It is hardly a matter of retribution to make clear that some things must not be done, and then to make sure that they are not. When evil behavior is tolerated, it is endorsed and cultivates incurably evil people. When it comes to the physical boundaries of our species, our ability to hone our senses, to be able to feel for one another, I have zero fuck around. To continue to allow systemic torture to atrophy our varied sensitivities would be a grave mistake. Love is too great to surrender to anything. There is a stele from thousands of years ago depicting a standing man holding a woman aloft, her legs wrapped around him. They are making love. Somewhere in the ancient cradle, two people loved each other very much. On the back it read something to the effect, "May my penis delight your body like fingers to a harp." How lovely, huh? I love that. There are depictions too horrible to relay from around the same time, same place. No one has yet given me a satisfying explanation for what I'm seeing, but I have theories so plausible I will keep them to myself, because I don't want to give anyone ideas. In modernity, I know what panda eyes are, and I wish I didn't. A man was found to have imprisoned one of his daughters in the basement of his home he shared with his wife and other children for over 2 decades, forcing several unattended births on her. He said, "Just look into the cellars of other people. You might find other families and other girls down there." One man was released from custody after having been found to have sexually tortured several calves to death. None of these are isolated incidences. 200 species go extinct every single day because the rape of the earth is even more systemic and perverse. More men than I can keep track of are let off after being caught with footage of men raping babies. Not long enough ago, 100 women a year were lost to murder in one city. No matter where she lives, a woman's most likely murderer is her sexual partner. Where I live, they say the rates are 1 in 3, sometimes 1 in 5, but I've never met a woman who didn't have a story, and usually they have more than one. 70,000 participants were found organizing on a forum to educate one another on how to drug and rape women. Recently, a man was found guilty of inviting around 100 men to rape his unconscious elderly wife over the span of a decade, while he recorded their assaults. The men included all demographics. Many were from her village, where she lived with her husband. All these events occurred in countries where women are supposed to have been liberated, where the New Agers condescend to lecture about living in fear. The stories are unsurprisingly worse where there is no pretense. Anyone is the world I live in, where no one should ever have to wonder. Judges, doctors, lawyers, politicians, bureaucrats, celebrities, tradesmen, wage earners, unemployed, strangers, acquaintances, friends, boyfriends, husbands, relatives. It could be anyone. But not all men, for safety, will have to bear the terrible tax of knowing, of preventative maintenance, of worry. Nor should they. So, how about this? If you rape a creature to death, you don't get to live anymore. How about, if you are a rapist, you forfeit the privilege, because you cannot be allowed to continue to be the rabid creature who has done such an abominable deed. How about, it is more of a problem that this is going on, right now, than it is that I am saying that it shouldn't be, because it is upsetting. Well, goddamn! It upsets me to know that I am co-creating with rapists when I would rather die. So how about, it is a mortal shame to torture, or to allow it to continue. How about, all who know and do nothing, say nothing, treat it like speech or entertainment, who allow it to continue, are either complicit or outright responsible. How about that?